I've done my warm-up and now I'm just waiting for teammates to show up. And when one did, and I think another one's coming at least, as it's getting hotter and there's less and less people coming out. And at least looks like it would have some quality climbers with me so I can get a good workout. Soon I think I'll have to be starting up in the higher elevation just to get some adaptation to the altitude. And I'll be talking about that in future videos. Today's supposed to be a maximum of 103 degrees. That's why we have a 6:30 start to entice others to come out. And so I think I'll still get back here by 11:30. We'll find out. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. And those are so cool. Oh, thank God. Those bastards up there weren't slowing down fast enough. I didn't want to pull off just yet.
Casper was perturbed with the flat, mainly because he viewed it as an imposition on others. The two teammates that went ahead to the store would have to wait for us. So therefore, when he got back on the bike, he drilled it. And because he was drilling it, then when it became Dave's turn, he was drilling it. And of course, because Dave was drilling it, when it became my turn, I had to drill it too. So for being 11 miles into an 80-mile ride on a hot day that has 5,300 feet of climbing, we were doing a lot of drilling. And that flat was the first in a comedy of errors that was about to happen. At the store, teammate Dr. Chris joined us for part of the ride as a warm-up for his ultra event the next day. Unbeknownst to the front part of the pack that was keeping the pace going, a couple teammates were watching another teammate who was just starting to have a bad day. Things are continuing to happen that we ordinarily would not want to see on one of our rides. It's 30 miles, and we're now heading into the town of Tollhouse. And as we exit the town of Tollhouse on the other end, we start a 6.7 mile climb in which the first 4 miles averages between 7–7.5%. And then the balance of the 2+ miles is going to be a series of undulations and of about 3 walls. With Terry and I there first, and the others will be rolling in, I call for a nature break.
I don't know what happened, but I went to the restroom and came out and they're all gone. Oh man, this reminds me of junior high. Okay, I'm going to set a steady pace, I guess. I really want to test myself against them, but I'm going to set a steady pace and just hold it.
Finally, I get to talk about what I wanted to originally talk about in this video, how my training is adjusting a little bit for nationals. For those of you who have been watching my recent videos, you'll know that the race this coming week is going to play a major factor in my deciding whether I'm going to go to nationals or not. It's going to have a Super 65 category, and it's going to have some similar climbs. Still, I have to train like I am going to go to nationals. So what I've been doing previously is focusing on my race type of upper intensity work. Being able to sustain a hard effort, then being able to punch it after that hard effort. Even though I still need more improvement in those areas, I've been actually doing pretty well. I got out of the bathroom and everybody's gone. Are those two up there? No, he turned around. He's cramping. He said. I've also been working on my heat adaptation. That has been going well for me too. A third area I've been focusing on is end of race strength. As with my upper intensity race work I previously mentioned, I've shown improvement, but I have a ways to go. A small evidence of my improvement is this ride. So during the last 5 weeks, what am I going to be doing different? I finally looked up Albuquerque, New Mexico's, this is the race site's, elevation. And they're around 5,200 feet. I will need to start including altitude training, and I'll be talking about that in a later video. The Nationals road race course was also recently defined, and it includes a 3-mile climb and I think 1 or 2 1-mile climbs. So while I haven't been exclusively working on the sustained 3-mile climbing effort, I started that today. I wanted to be able to hold 270 watts for 3 miles. When I caught and passed Casper, that was the 3-mile mark, and I had averaged 239 watts. I definitely would not call that a win for me. When I reached the 4-mile mark, which ends the steady climbing and begins the first of 3 walls and undulations, my average was approximately the same at 237 watts. Tied into the climbing is my weight. A few months ago, I started about a little over 167 pounds, and I've gotten myself down to now below 163. I am approximately 6 feet tall. Using the mirror test and looking at my midsection, I still have a little room to work with. I am hoping to be broken under 161 by the time Nationals come around. So there you have it, the 2 changes to my program. Increased power sustained climbing and getting acclimated to riding at altitude. Now to the screen. The top is right around that curve. Depending where we are in our training, I consider David the slightly better climber that I can measure myself against. I would love to say that my climbing has gotten a lot better, but I think it's the case that David was having some calorie problems.
Fuck.
To sum up the balance of our ride, David and I went across the street and up the road just a little bit to the school to get some water, and Terry was there waiting for us. During that time, Casper got to the top, then elected to turn left and go down the 4-lane and head on home. About 5 minutes later, when we went back to the top, we figured that's what had happened because enough time had passed by. At least that's what we hoped had happened, and that he wasn't having any trouble down on the climb. We took another route back down, and both Terry and David just bombed the descent. There's no way that I can keep up with them. I don't do super tuck. Halfway down, David got stuck by a bee, so he slowed up a bit. Terry went on. He bypassed the last rest stop because he had an appointment he needed to get to, and I eventually reconnected with David at that rest stop. David was taking in lots of calories at that point to prevent an oncoming bonk. On the way home, things got even worse. David started to cramp, and my shifting that I had finagled for the last couple weeks, waiting for a part to come in, had finally become unfinaglable. I was stuck in my 13, but I can go into my big gear or my small gear. At that point, I was doing a lot of big gear work.
80 miles, hot day. This is what you call planning ahead. Nowhere else do you see shade. Cycling Greek got the shade. I am tired. So I'm going to deliver my bike now to the bike shop. My right shifter, Campy shifter, record, and I've been having to finagle it the last 2-3 weeks, and it took about a couple weeks for the balance of the parts that were needed to fix it to come in. And it stopped being finagleable on the way down from this major climb that we did. Thank goodness. I had my, I think, 12 or 13 was the only thing I can go into, or the smallest, but I didn't want to move it at all because it kept shifting back. I think it's a 12. And then I'd have control of the big and the small ring. But damn, it was like this close from being a death ride on the way back. Good training. Okay, so those are the variables I have before me. Got to work on some altitude training. Got to work on this, got to work on that. And my test race is next week. Hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Always remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.